Hello and welcome into the show. Kyle Cushman here with Ryerson NHL 21 esports player Zach Finch as a new season of University Esports is finally here. Today, we'll be giving you everything you need to know about this upcoming year for Ryerson's teams. Right, Zach?
Yes, we are, Kyle. We're going to be going through each and every single one of Ryerson's esports teams as we tee up their 2020 season. Should be a great show.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to things. But before we get ahead of ourselves here, let's introduce you to the lineup of games Ryerson will have teams competing in this upcoming season. Ryerson competes in a large array of games, different play styles, lots of different games, and we'll begin with Valorant, one of the new esports on the scene. We've also got League of Legends, Rocket League, CSGO, the NHL franchise, and Super Smash Bros. Melee. So lots of different titles there. But there are even more, such as Overwatch, Hearthstone, Fortnite, Rainbow Six, and Apex. So lots of different games to get to today. And let's begin with one of Ryerson's best rosters in Valorant. It's new to the esports scene, only been around for a few months, but Valorant is one of Ryerson's best. It's a team-based tactical first-person shooter with teams of 5 that go head-to-head looking to plant or defuse the spike in a first to 13 series. Players get to choose from a list of agents to use, each with their own styles and strengths. So, Zach, what's the 4-1-1 on Ryerson's Valorant team?
Well, Kyle, this Valorant team is a very young team as the game did just release this past June. So, a very impressive start for Ryerson as they already have a first place finish along with some podium finishes to go along with that. So, Ryerson starting off on the right foot, and they will look to continue this momentum as they gear up to compete in more tournaments down the line. And Kyle, we'll throw it back to you because you have Valorant player Christian standing by. Kyle?
I'm now joined by Ryerson Valorant player Christian. Christian, thank you for taking the time to join us today.
Thanks for having me.
All right, well, let's just dive right into things here. And can you tell us about your role on the team and agents and what you play for here at Ryerson?
I started off as an entry character or an entry fragger role. So I'm the one who goes into sites first and gets information and allows my team to kind of trade off me. I was the hyper aggressive kind of aggro player on the team. And as a lot of our players developed on the team and we started growing together as a team, I took a step back to a more supportive role where I'm often either last alive to win the round or I'm gathering info for the team.
And so were you right from the closed beta then for Valorant, and how early did you get involved?
For Valorant, I got my closed beta key on the Friday before everybody else. I was up at 7 a.m. the day of release, started playing. I think I played for 12 hours my first day, and I had a lot of fun playing it during the beta.
Let's dive into the Ryerson Valorant season now. You guys are 2-1 in the College Valorant Conference so far. The only team to take a map off of Virginia Tech so far. So how do you feel about the team going forward the rest of the season?
So fortunately, Ryerson has a lot of Valorant talent at the school. So we have right now actually 3 really strong teams. And in my opinion, I believe all 3 teams are among the best in Canada, if not across collegiate. That may be brash to say, but I think the Ryerson Valorant teams are really strong and we try really hard to improve. So far our season's looking really, really good. And I think it's going to continue looking that way.
Well, Christian, I got to say thank you for taking the time to join us today and best of luck the rest of the season.
Great. Thank you so much.
Great interview as always, Kyle, and some very confident statements from Christian. He's definitely setting some high expectations for this team, and to only think that Ryerson started recruiting their team, or multiple teams for that matter, just this past May. And considering that, this team has come a long way with most of these players having the game on day one, or in Christian's case, even before day one. And this gives them an opportunity to get a step ahead of some players and really learn the ins and outs of the game. I also applaud Christian for the effort he's been putting into the game, considering he's never actually been a part of an esports team prior to this one. And so with that being said, he's developed nicely into a good talent for Ryerson. And something else that I found particularly interesting is how he's able to balance his schooling, because trust me, being a student and who also has to compete in esports is a difficult act to balance. But all in all, he's very versatile. He's been an attacking player, has now adapted into more of a supporting role. So he's going to be a massive contributor for Ryerson in the future. And hey, they're undefeated, so if it's not broke, don't fix it. And also, pretty funny story about how they created the name Shorty Kings, Kyle.
Absolutely, a great story there. But let's transition now to one of the most popular esports worldwide in the 5v5 battle arena game, League of Legends. And we're happy to bring in Elizabeth Rositson here to break down Ryerson's upcoming season.
Thank you, Kyle. So, League of Legends is one of those games that Ryerson has the most history with. But recently, the team has been going through a bit of a transition. So after being Ryerson's League of Legends manager for many, many years, Judy has decided to move on, and now Cam has recently taken over in her place. But luckily, we still had a chance to chat with Judy, and in terms of expectations for the upcoming season, she had this to say. I hope for the team to continue to bond and get to know both staff and players. I hope to see them thrive higher than their predecessors. I hope to see them attend more tournaments. I hope even with the pandemic that the team is still able to get the most out of their practices while also staying on top of their studies. Those were some great predictions from Judy right there. And luckily we were also able to speak to Cam, the new manager. And here's what he had to say about how the new roster is coming together. Let's take a look.
Roster. So a full 15-man team. So an A team, a B team, and then a roster full of subs as well, each having 5. We've just finalized that, but the players that actually tried out and the skill level that I've seen have exceeded my expectations, actually. It was a really fun time actually seeing this high level of play, especially at a collegiate level. Even though we just completed the roster now, we're still finalizing some things, but we're looking forward to seeing what we can do.
Those were some awesome words from Cam, and Cam also said that one of their team's most important mottos is, quote, to not meet expectations, but to strive for above and beyond them. The new manager has some pretty big shoes to fill after last season's impressive results, where the team finished in the top 16 North American universities. But after recruiting multiple new players and 2 new coaches, Cam believes Ryerson has both the depth and the flexibility to compete with a pair of strong sister teams in both the CLOL and the CSL. He said, I think we're really looking to dominate this season, and hopefully both teams will be placing very high, if not winning, their respective leagues. Back to you, Kyle.
Elizabeth, and it's going to be very interesting to see how the League of Legends team responds to those new additions that you mentioned this upcoming year. But coming up after the break, we've got Rocket League talk with Ryerson team member Willie Mandam. We'll also be talking Chell 21, CSGO, Overwatch, and plenty more, plus a great look inside the lack of female involvement in esports. All that and more coming up after the break. Welcome back inside the Ryerson Esports season preview show. Kyle Cushman here with NHL Esports player Zach Finch. And up next, we have one of the longest running and most successful Ryerson Esports teams in Rocket League. Combine cars and soccer, and that's basically what Rocket League is. Teams of 4 face off in quick 5-minute games as they look to maneuver their cars in order to score goals and defend their own net. And Zach, Ryerson is off to a fantastic start to this season.
Yes, they are, Kyle. They're sitting in the top 4 of the leaderboard as they just won their first game against York. As we see here, they are 1-1, tied with York University for that 4th spot. And again, just Ryerson trying to figure out how they work together as a team, losing their first game, but it's an upward trend as of now, and we'll look to see how they continue on for the rest of the season. As we throw it now to Kyle, who is joined by one of Rocket League's players.
I'm now joined by a Rocket League player here at Ryerson, Willie Mandam. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, man.
All right, so before we dive into things here, you're a relatively new player on the Ryerson esports scene here with Rocket League. So how have your first few weeks been on the team here?
It's been going pretty good, actually. I think we played like 2 weeks now into a few leagues. Had some success, got some things to work on, but we're still a fairly new team, so it'll get better with time.
Yeah, and Ryerson's Rocket League team is one of their oldest and most established teams. So how has the transition period been like as a new recruit to that team?
It's been actually pretty good. Liam, as you know, he's been here for like 4 years now. His experience being at the top of College Rocket League, it's really been help to me and Krusty. Yeah.
So I got to ask, what initially drew you to Rocket League? Is this something that you've been playing for a long time, or is this something that you've picked up relatively recently?
I've been playing for about 5 years now. It's a really unique game, actually. It combines 2 of my most favorite things, racing, cars, and I really love sports a lot, especially like hockey, soccer. So combining those 2 games, it's been like one of my favorite games now.
So Rocket League is obviously one of many different esports, both at Ryerson and just worldwide. So what is it about Rocket League that should make it the esport that you watch?
Well, it's very unique. There's no other game like it. Like you have games like Valorant, CS:GO. They're really good in their own right, but Rocket League is really unique. It's fast-paced, lots of action going on. And yeah, like me personally, I struggle watching games like 40 minutes long. So having a game that's like 7 minutes, 5 minutes, it's great, yeah.
So Rocket League recently is undergoing a shift from a pay-to-play to a free-to-play model. So how do you think that will affect the esports scene with the game?
Well, with the free-to-play, lots of players have come in. I think over a million new players have joined Rocket League, which is great. Lots of new players. Hopefully this will develop the esports scene even more.
And just before we head out here, what are your expectations for the Ryerson Rocket League team the rest of this year?
Well, we're competing in lots of leagues right now, and with this roster, fairly new, but we have the potential to do some real damage in Collegiate Rocket League. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time today, and best of luck the rest of the year.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle, for that. And when it comes to this year's Ryerson's Rocket League team, people have considered it one of the school's oldest organizations, being founded in 2016, but this Rocket League team is still a new team. A lot of new recruits have been added, and they've had to learn the playbook and strategies of the Ryerson manual. And based off what Willie Mandam said, he seems to be a great addition to the squad, and with more time to practice in these current times. And from my own experience, it just makes the transition that much smoother, and especially when it comes to a game like Rocket League, where at the base of it, it seems simple. A car and a ball got hit in the net, but there's a lot of different controls, especially flying through the air. There's many things you have to learn. And so Willie Mandam and the Ryerson team doing fairly well when it comes to that.
I'm glad you mentioned your experience as an esports player. Of course, you're a member of the NHL team. So let's talk about that a little bit right now. Of course, you haven't been in any competition just yet. The team's been around for a few months now in NHL 20. So let's hear a quote here from your manager, Zach Mara, who said, quote, "As a young team with a balance of newer and strong competitive players, I expect mostly that the team develops together and improves each other's skills. It's hard to tell if there's going to be major online tournaments this year, but assuming that there are, my expectation is that the team is practiced and ready to play, but also that they're willing to learn from losses and focus on the game from an esports strategy point of view." So Zach, your experience over these last few months, hearing that quote from your manager, what are your expectations going into this season?
Well, yeah, it sure injects some confidence into us, because as of now, we've only been playing each other, trying to figure out our own strengths, our own weaknesses, who's going to be better at what position. And we believe personally that we're good and we're going to compete right when we enter different kinds of tournaments. And yeah, just having our manager on our back is always a good sign.
Of course, it's a new game cycle now. NHL 21 came out just last week. So what have you found to be the differences between the game, and how will that affect your play style?
Well, there's a lot of jokes that each NHL game doesn't really change much from year to year. And honestly, I would say that's pretty much the same case for this year. A couple of new moves we have to learn, new dekes to get around certain defenders. So we have to adapt to that in order to keep up with the competition in terms of changing over into NHL 21. But the biggest addition is team practices. We've never been able to do that before. So now we can all meet up online and practice from wherever and just further prepare ourselves for competition.
Well, I'm looking forward to following that NHL esports season at Ryerson this upcoming year. But Zach Mara was also able to comment on Ryerson Super Smash Bros. Melee team and where they feel they rank in Ontario going into this season. He said, quote, "I would say overall probably anywhere from first to third in the province. We're pretty even with U of T and Waterloo. Based on those competing the most in online tournaments right now, I'd probably say second because U of T hasn't been signing up for that many brackets, but Waterloo has been. And their best players has been doing really well." So great to get quotes from Zach Mara on both the NHL team there with you and Super Smash Bros. Melee. But it's time to get into our female representation feature here. Esports is an exciting, growing industry, but it isn't without faults. Female representation in esports has been a major issue both behind the scenes and in competition. So we talked to some of those in the industry to get their thoughts on why this exists and what we can do to change it.
With the COVID-19 pandemic, esports has been a rapidly growing industry. With cancellations and delays of physical sports such as the NBA, NHL, and MLB, many people have turned their attention to sports played virtually. Esports is a fantastic and entertaining industry for a very diverse audience, but this diversity does not always carry into the competitive gaming scene. Women not being gamers is a common stereotype in today's society. Some men have a tendency to try and uphold these stereotypes and push back against women in esports.
I think you see it too in sports as well, right? Like I just saw an article where, how many women drop out of high school sports at like 14 or whatever it is. And it happens at that age for a reason. Like that's when we start discovering like who we are and what we want to do with our lives. And when you are constantly met with criticism and constantly met with people tearing you down in whatever way possible, because for some reason there's just so much joy. Like if you go to any post on TSN, any Instagram post that has anything to do with the WNBA, the comments are disgusting, like absolute vitriol, go back to the kitchen, garbage, like they're from the 50s or something. And it's just like that's something that they do for attention. I get it, they think it's funny, whatever, but like it's never a joke to when you're punching down, and there's a lot of punching down, unfortunately.
I think traditionally video games were kind of a boys club for a very long time. I don't think that really is the case anymore, and even if it even was the case in the first place, but that was sort of the stereotype that was put forward. I think that because of that stereotype and that idea that it is a boys club, there has been sort of limiting factors for girls that want to get into the space. I think that parents don't necessarily tell their female children to like play video games. That wasn't really a thing, at least when I was growing up.
I remember setting up for a tournament where we were just setting up game cubes, and my job was basically just to set up like 15 game cubes and hook them up to CRTs. And someone came up to me and they asked, "Do you know how to do that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I know how to do it. Like, that's what I'm here for." I didn't like take it personally, but I just know that that's like something that has been embedded into our society and our culture. And it's up to us as like the next generation to kind of slash that and to change the perception of what it is to be like a proper girl. And I think it really comes from the patriarchy of when you're younger. It's not really accepted for a girl to just stay in front of a computer for a long time.
The majority of gamers are male, and it causes the culture of esports to leave women excluded. There are many women out there who would love to become competitive gamers, but some barriers need to be broken down first. The stereotype that women simply cannot be gamers needs to be changed. We need to find new ways in the esports industry to get more women involved in it and equal out the playing field in the competitive gaming scene.
That was for representation with females in sports, because It's true. It has been a problem for so long, ever since the creation of esports. And I'm just super happy to see that representation is finally growing, and that especially Ryerson is doing all they can to increase female involvement. And if the trend continues upwards, we're going in the right direction.
It's just been frustrating because gender isn't something that can affect the heights that you can reach in esports, and yet the discrimination and the stereotypes against women in esports is still something that exists, and it's just frustrating to see that continue to kind of hinder the female involvement in esports. So it's great to see that there are some voices trying to create change, and hopefully we can see that start to change in these coming months and years. But let's continue on with the lineup of games we have, and let's get into our first person shooters, and we'll begin with the classic CS:GO, where the two teams, the terrorists and counter-terrorists, are pitted against each other as they look to eliminate the opposition while completing separate tasks. So Zach, what do we need to know about Ryerson CS:GO team?
Well, Ryerson CS:GO team is one of the school's oldest teams, being founded all the way back in 2016, and they've seen a lot of success in the past, most recently winning the 2018 LAN War X tournament, as well as putting up a good fight in the 2018 EGL X tournament. And the thing is with this team is that they have a lot of good chemistry. Most of the team has played with each other for quite some time, and it really shows when they're executing certain game plans throughout any given match, really. They've also been putting in the work behind the scenes as they've recruited more players over the offseason and are really trying to put together a solid 2020 season. And from what I've been hearing, they're gearing up to make CSL playoffs and are trying to potentially take it all. And the thing is with these players, a lot of them have been playing the game for years now. So they're all masters of the game mechanics, masters of the specific maps. So there is a lot of positives, but they also need to work on something such as long distance aiming. That needs to be tweaked a little if they want to see any success. So it's going to be interesting to see it all unravel this year.
We had a chance to speak to Denzel Gutierrez, the CSGO manager here at Ryerson, who said, quote, "I think experience is always key in any type of competition. The CSGO scene isn't any different. I think CS is 90% mental decisions and 10% mechanical skill. Playing with teammates who have already played CSL for 3+ seasons, we're going into this season with absolutely no pressure since we're so used to competing at this tournament numerous times. If we make the playoffs, we're going to take it one step at a time, but I think in general, our expectations are high because we have a top contending team. It's realistic we can win the whole thing this year." So it's great to hear the confidence coming out of that camp going into this season, Zach.
And yeah, you have to be very precise in CSGO. So the fact that the manager is saying it's 90% mental, it really highlights the skill and the focus of these esport athletes. And other than that, they're super familiar with the league format, so they're going to be well prepared to make a big splash this year, Kyle.
Another tactical first-person shooter on Ryerson's lineup is Rainbow Six, where the team feels very confident as well going into this season. We had a chance to speak to Rainbow Six manager here at Ryerson, Alexander Samaru, who said, quote, "With the addition of our new coach, we were able to put together a team of flexible players whose play styles complement each other. This team has a lot of potential. We have players who are talented and also motivated to play the game. Our expectations are definitely to improve and to win, but also to enjoy what we're doing." So it's great to hear from the manager that they expect to be competitive, but they also remember to have fun over there on the Rainbow Six team. So let's get into our final first-person shooter here, and it's a very different one in Overwatch, a 6v6 battle featuring unique, colorful characters and exhilarating competition, Zach.
And yeah, this game, unlike CSGO, has a lot of fantasy elements. So each character has their own unique roles and their own unique abilities. And this Ryerson team, they've all mastered their favorite characters, and they all work really well together, carrying out certain objectives. So an egoless team who will play whatever character they need to win, which is 100% a good sign for Ryerson Esports fans.
Let's move along from first-person shooters now to a game that kind of tugs on the nostalgia in Hearthstone. It's a digital card game where players construct a deck of 30 cards and look to destroy their opponent's hero. We spoke to Ryerson Hearthstone manager Zachary Calderwood about his thoughts on the team this upcoming season.
We got 2 teams this year, and it's all new guys, so I'm just hoping to see them grow as players and work well together and play to the best of their ability and hopefully make it far in the tournament. We're on a big rebuild right now, I guess you could say. We got lots of young, fresh players, and we're just excited to be able to keep playing Hearthstone.
And that was the Hearthstone manager. And anytime you have a wave of new talent, there's bound to be an adjustment period And with the season just starting a few days ago, not a lot of time to make those adjustments. So be on the lookout, as this can potentially be one of the bigger comeback stories for university esports.
I'm definitely excited to see how that comeback story plays out this season with the Hearthstone Ryerson team. But coming up next, we've got your Battle Royale games, including the fan favorite in Fortnite. We'll also be discussing mental wellness in esports. All that and more coming up after the break. We'll be right back.
History is written by the winners. Muhammad Ali, George S. Patton, Amelia Earhart, 1982 Bocce Ball World Champion Ralph Cyclops Davis. This season, Toronto Ultra is taking aim at the best Call of Duty players in the world. We're coming for you, Seattle, and for you, New York, for Florida, Dallas, Chicago, and Los Angeles. For Paris, London, Atlanta, and the other one. Win or lose, we're going to win, especially if we don't lose. History is written by the winners, and this year, Toronto Ultra is literally going to write history. Figuratively.
That was a workout. Let's get out of here, please.
Show. Up next is finally time for our Battle Royale games, and we begin with one of the most popular games in the world in Fortnite. It boasts over 250 million players, and it took the gaming scene by storm back in 2017. In Fortnite, 100 players go head-to-head in combat in order to be the last one standing. Fortnite has quickly become one of the top games in esports, and so here's what Ryerson Fortnite manager Jackson Reel had to say about the approaching season.
Just to be honest, I like to see the guys like enjoying themselves. I mean, as far as like last year, you know, they all like generally had a good time, but lots of them weren't having a good time with the game. So a lot of people from the team left. And then this year, I know that the people that I have are still enjoying the game. So I don't know, I just want them to just show up to the tournaments, enjoy themselves, and hopefully place well.
Ryerson also has a strong history in Apex, the first-person battle royale in which squads of 2 or 3 search for weapons and supplies, all while attempting to defeat the rest of the players in combat. So, Zach, what can we expect from them this year?
Well, this team has been really good in the past, but I'm not too sure about this year. This team previously has won both College Apex Blitz 3 and 4, and at the time, I would have considered them Ryerson's best esports teams. And this was in large part the dynamic trio of Randy Dangster, Ryu Bex, and Truo. This year, however, Randy Dexter has actually moved on from Apex and onto Ryerson's Valorant team. Also, Ryu Bex and Truo have just left Ryerson Esports altogether, so clearly a massive loss for this Ryerson Apex team, but after extensive recruiting, they hope to continue where they left off even without some of their stars.
As we bring in Nick Robinson now, mental wellness has been a major topic in the world of esports. So what has Ryerson been doing to help push this conversation forwards, Nick?
Well, thanks, Kyle. And you know, there's so many misconceptions about esports in general, and one of them especially is the physical and mental aspects of it itself. And that's something that Ryerson University takes very, very seriously. Ryerson Esports holds workshops available to athletes as well as just normal students on their Discord channel. The school has hopes this regimen is going to encourage esports athletes to take their mental health and physical well-being seriously, as sometimes putting down the controller, you know, it does benefit the athlete in the long haul. On September 17th this year, Dr. Jonathan Chung gave a virtual workshop to Ryerson Esports athletes where he focused on mental wellness and mental health for them. He even went through things like breathing exercises for the players and students just so they can get an idea of things they can do to better their performance. Dr. Chung has also returned to the school's Discord since then, and he's discussed nutrition and how to achieve things like a healthy diet. And the organization themselves also holds fitness training workshops on the Discord, and that's held and led by Ryerson Esports Vice President Alexa Patino. Some exercises that they cover are body weight strengthening to build and maintain overall strength and muscle mass, as well as things like finger exercises, because, finger cramps and other things like that do come across when playing esports. Ryerson University has a long history of supporting mental health corporations and charities, and these workshops are the next step towards helping a student's health. The Ryerson Esports Discord is available to all students at Ryerson, so join in to both stay in shape and receive updates about Ryerson Esports events and scores. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Nick, and it's great to see Ryerson doing so much on the mental wellness side of esports. But if you're looking to get involved in Ryerson Esports, well, there's still multiple teams still looking to recruit for this upcoming season. So, Zach, what different opportunities are still available?
Yes, we have 4 teams who are still recruiting. You must have some requirements beforehand, such as for Fortnite, you got to be competitive. Overwatch, we're looking for masters or higher for a player, but they're also hiring a coach. So if you want to coach, come on out. For Rocket League, you got to be a grand champion or close to it in seasons 13 or 14. Last but not least, Valorant, you have to be Immortal 1 or better.
Well, that's going to do it for this year's season preview of Ryerson Esports. It's been an exciting time here at Ryerson, and with the lack of esports this upcoming season, there's going to be an even bigger focus on Ryerson's esports results this upcoming year. There's plenty of fun, different storylines to pay attention to as this season goes along. For Zach Finch, Elizabeth Rositson, Nick Robinson, and everybody behind the scenes, I'm Kyle Cushman. We'll see you next time. Have a good one.